Episode 73. And we live on Instagram, we live on YouTube, and we are live on Twitter. I gotta ask my co-host how they doing today. Mainly because it's been a crazy week, and I'm just trying to make sure that my peoples is in good spirits, because my peoples be working hard up in here. You know what I'm saying? My peoples be going hard. So big up to NFTia, big up to Just Cheeze, big up to RC Falls, and we here, y'all. We here. So I gotta ask my co-hosts, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling today? What's going on? Who wanna go first? Who wanna set it up?
I got it. We take it down the line. So train line this thing. What's going on, everybody out there in TCK world? Thank y'all for joining us today. No, I had a great week. As you said, I turned 41, and just amazing.
Hold on, let's look at that 41.
Fasted.
Man, it was an amazing birthday. Thank y'all for being a part of it, making it special. From the moment I woke up, all the gifts, just family, and then being here with my extended family. It was just an amazing birthday. Monday we actually had the Caishe event. We do so much in so little bit of time. The Caishe event felt like 2 weeks ago. That shit wasn't even 7 days ago. Like the Caishe event was amazing. We did a hands-on build. We activated it with a chain that we had never even activated with before. That most communities don't even get a chance to activate. And we did that joint in true ATL fashion. So that was dope. My birthday was dope, and then we went over to the Cam Kirk Studios. Man, like I didn't know what to expect. It was above and beyond what I could even imagine. And I'm gonna let my other co-hosts and panelists, talk about that experience. And then yesterday we celebrated Trash's birthday, man, and
That's right.
that was such a dope experience. I picked for the first time in front of people my idea, and I knocked it out. I feel like it, even though it's a half-done product, I was able to really explain exactly what I'm building and have the people feel exactly where I'm coming from, and then get a lot of hands-on knowledge from industry experts right out here in the Atlanta Blockchain Center, because that's what we do. That's what we are. We're experts, you know what I'm saying? And from the bar chef, of course, Cheese and Trav, all advise me on things that I can do to better build what I'm envisioning. So just a beautiful, beautiful week. Last but not least, man, this morning I didn't expect to go to church. I don't ever go to church. I went there for a scholarship program. Shout out to Jamal Bryant and New Birth, man. And it was everything that I needed. And I ain't gonna say I can't stand church, but I can't stand black church sometimes. I'm be honest. And so I was going in there with another mundane attitude, and I left so full. I left so spiritually fed. I left everything that we've been talking about spiritually here. It's like he hit every hammer on it. It was one of those experiences that I gotta run it back next Sunday. So Jamal Bryant, you're gonna see me next Sunday, because it was powerful, man. It was impactful, and it meant a lot to me today. So I just had an amazing week.
Oh, that's beautiful. Church.
Wow. I'm still catching up from Atlanta Tech Week 2025. And so I just have to say again how impressed I was with the team. Since I've joined this community, I've been embraced, and I have shared my ideas and my energy, and that has been well received. And a lot of times I know people don't know where all of this stuff comes from, but I'm just so excited for the moment because I know what's happening and how big it is, and not just in the community that we're building it, but in the diaspora. Because that's the level that I operate at, and people don't always see all the way up into the stratosphere. But when I talk to Marlon, he does. And so as we've been coming off of Tech Week, all these other things have immediately happened. Like we put so much energy into Tech Week, and that was the first time we just kind of ran a full play, top to bottom, and we ran for it more than one day. We ran a whole week, and the whole team, everybody was just on it. And it did exactly what I thought. It activated and showed everybody exactly what we've been building here at the Blockchain Center. And as we hit our anniversary, our 3-year anniversary, there were so many milestones that we were hitting it was going so fast. I don't think that everybody actually appreciated it because here we accelerated right back into this weekend. Like you said, we were on a Monday with Caishe, and we had Full House, and we were going, and that was new for us. But we were already moving past that. It was in New York. Sending me pictures from Times Square with Mason. Shout out to Mason, Stand with Crypto, everybody.
Yes, sir.
We so appreciate you guys. They had just been down here, just all in the groove with us on Atlanta Tech Week, and we're powering on to the next thing's coming. And then Ant was already back up there in New York. They had a wonderful time. There was a mayoral race. Man, I'm like, T.Gold, man, did y'all see what happened? The city is active. The city was active.
Como lost.
Bro, and the money lost.
That's
The
right.
big money lost, the institution lost, the energy was vibrant, the color. I mean, get into what's going on. I'm not telling anybody to go any particular candidate, but please get into the conversation because crypto is on the ballot. And if you did not know in the past election cycle, this current ballot cycle right now, this is the conversation. Stand on Crypto is front and center. We are in the policy and politics discussion. So talk to the crypto community when you're talking about the ballot because we are there. So that happened. So Ant then comes down and he was like, hey, man, I got an alley-oop in the air. We're going to Camp Kirk. And I'm like, man. So Cam Kirk, shout out to Cam Kirk Studios. Cam Kirk, that's my guy. And I tell Ant, you missed it, but in April, me and Cam Kirk, we headlined the stage together. At the Morehouse Dream Makers Summit 2025, me and Cam Kirk were pulling in Morehouse about creativity, the blockchain, all this same stuff. So here we go, walking right back into the studio. Man, these concentric circles are building on each other. Friday night, and I see all the boys back out, all the girls back out, all the kids were out.
That's right.
And it's just us having a good time and fellowshipping, but we're educating again. We're teaching, and I'm watching everybody activate. It's just so natural because we've gotten into a groove now. We're doing it so much, and we're talking so much to everybody in the community, K through 12, college, I mean everything, the community, the creative community, the tech community, wherever you exist in the blockchain, we're speaking to you, and we're building from this tree here. And all these roots are strong and firm, but all these branches now are strong and firm. The branches are creating this craziness. Like we got all these offshoots, and everybody is standing up independently and operating. Like, all right, let me do my part. And now it's when I say go. And just like with the Web3, Women in Web3 event during Atlanta Tech Week, T was like, I got this. And then she was like, y'all show up. And we show up, and Tia's like, set it up. And it's tears.
That's right.
And we're like, whoo. And we kept going. So here we are, going from that Friday night, we're recovering. Saturday, T.Gold was like, we back up again on Sunday. I'm like, I'm gonna be up again on Sunday because there's another podcast that's going on. They're gonna talk to us again.
Right.
So we're up 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, and here we are again at the Blockchain Center. We shot for 2-3 hours, and then Cheeze is in here working. We're working.
Wall Street Journal.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Marlon, I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry, no. The Wall Street Journal.
The Wall Street Journal.
The Wall Street Journal. The publication.
We forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean,
So much going on.
it's so
It's
much.
crazy.
I know, forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. Keep me honest.
I was hoping Cheese was gonna make
I mean,
it.
shit, I caught it, though. I caught it. Thank you, Tia.
Run it down.
So, my brother, the founder of this place, the one who seeded this earth for us to commune and then to go out and fellowship in the community. We celebrating the 3-year anniversary, and the Wall Street Journal is interviewing this man. And what he says is, please come to the Blockchain Center and see the community as it is. He says, hey, just come and do what you do. We'll be up in the morning. It's a little earlier than we normally up, but we'll hang out. We'll talk. We'll do whatever. And what happens? The kids come, the dogs come, the crew comes, and we get to build it. And we're literally sitting in the corner. And as we're sitting in the corner talking about the Wall Street Journal article and what's happening, what we're about to do, Project Pi Labs is building in the corner, and they have a breakthrough. And I say Cheeze, when they sit on the couch next to one another, they have synergy of the brand. He turns it into an AI image from a
I saw
conversation.
that video. That was lit.
Yeah, and then he activates it. Then he uses these AI tools that he has been using the last couple of weeks that he perfected during Atlanta Tech and he creates a video, 15-second video, as he's done now for weeks. And I wake up to it, he drops in my inbox.
Right.
No word or conversation, because we're now in sync. We kind of sharing the brain ourselves.
Yeah,
I know. And he's like, here's the alley oop, and he's like, all right. And you know what he says? You'll know what to do with this.
That's right.
I go back, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what to do with this. Add a little music to it, load it up onto a couple of our channels. I'm like, all right, let's drop a little ad dollar behind it, and just throw it out to the community and see what happens. The reception is amazing. I sent it to the Project Pi boys because they didn't know we were doing this. We're just over here activating because they knew we took the picture of them in the corner, and we said to them, y'all like a shared brain. And then we posted, and they're like, oh! And then their channels are going crazy because that's how they create here.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just threw it up. Nothing, but that's what we have here. And just from that moment, it turns into engagement, and now the work that they're doing is got eyes on it. And the breakthroughs that they were having, there's now a media engagement strategy wrapped around the technical strategy and the progress, and they're updating the community on both. But just being here and just being in the ecosystem, that
creates opportunity for that to happen.
That's right.
And it's so natural.
And it is.
Sitting there.
And then the Wall Street Journal's taking pictures of us doing it. There's actually documentation in the Wall Street Journal photographer taking pictures of us basically dealing with liquid staking breakthroughs
That's
for
magnificent.
ETH.
In real time.
And then using artificial intelligence tools to create a marketing pop for it.
Crazy.
Yeah, so we're doing work
On the fly.
on the fly.
Cooking. The
Cooking.
stove don't get cut off. The stove never gets cut. Yo, I'm gonna tell you like this. We using the oven and we using all 4 eyes of the burners up on the stove, yo.
Bro.
Jeez, let them know.
Man, come to him.
No, that's facts. I don't even know what day of the week it is because it's all the same, right? From like you said, from the minute Atlanta Tech Week has stopped, we gotta keep going, right? We've had multiple events per week since then, and if I'm just looking back at the week that just passed here specifically, I want to talk primarily about the scavenger hunt things that have been going on. So I mentioned last week some of the feedback from the scavenger hunt with Edgewood Block Party, and
Shout out to the bookstore.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Kyle Brown. Kyle
Shout out to
Brown.
Corby.
shout out to them there, right? And I've been back there. I was starting my first office hours at the bookstore gallery on Wednesday, so held office hours there, and but right before the office hours, Kyle, Jay Rich, and myself went to Can Kirk Studios just to peep out the space, and then that's when I started like opening books inside the studio, looking at pictures on the wall, figuring out how I'm gonna basically activate the space, and then I figured out, okay, I'm gonna have words in this book be clues for things on the walls. People were very much in tune when they came, and they're like, oh, this is hard. And some girls came up to me, they're like, oh, you gotta give us the answers. And people were enthused with the activation of doing the scavenger hunt on Friday, and it was all around his studio, like Cam Kirk's studio. So it was almost like a museum exploration in the state where you see a QR code, you scan it, you watch a music video, or you watch a YouTube video, or you read an article that has data about or information in regards to that moment on the wall, right? And then taking that moment on the wall and further activating it into something where they can answer a poll that's related to what they just saw on the wall, so it creates a living experience. So that's what I was trying to do, even down to the fact that I created a bookmark with a QR code on it that went inside Larry's book. And that way, if you're reading the book, you can scan the QR code and answer questions or polls regarding the book that you just read. So I wanted to create this medium where Skylark existed in multiple mediums, from the wall to the book, and see how it intrigued individuals. Because I'm going to bring that same model to every event now.
That's
that
right.
we do.
Let's
So
go.
I'm gonna do it at the bookstore gallery.
Let's
I'm
go.
gonna do it at I'm gonna do it here in Atlanta Blockchain Center. I want people to be able to come in here, scan the QR code, leave a review, right? I checked our reviews. We haven't had a review since 8 months ago. 8 months ago on Google reviews. So that's time to change. So I want this space to get reviewed up.
That's right.
Multiple times per week. And
Dope.
yeah, just put QR codes, information, tie it, all over this place.
That's right. That's super.
Yeah,
good.
Cheese, hook me up, Cheese.
Yeah, just like
I need an executive nine
That's
bro.
going to
He
check
gonna put that executive nine scholar quest. We're gonna set it up. We're gonna do a collaboration.
We're gonna do that.
You
So-
figure out how to get to the venture funding.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. Let's make it happen. So I mean that's one side of the equation. The other side is just rocking these AI videos out. So
Man,
that this week and all these things that we got moving, just this rinse, wash, and repeat.
That's right. Let's go. So yeah, man, I'm just super proud of my team. I'm super excited, super thrilled. There's been so much going on. From, like I said, the Monday event, the Caishe situation we had here, that was lit. Marissa was out there,
yeah, oh man.
Shout out to Marissa. Hey,
I told Tia, I was like, watch when Marissa was rocking during Atlanta Tech Week. I was like, she is in here holding it down. Me and Cheese were in there setting the room up, and I was like, what kind of situation do you want here? And she's like, let me stand up and kind of work with the board and be professorial so I can be comfortable and walking back and forth, move around a bit. And she got in there and she was just going through it. And I grabbed Tia. I was like, Tia, look at this. She's just in the zone. And everybody was in there. Just the room was full, and she had it. Go ahead. No, I knew when she came to the Caishe thing. I was like, oh, she's about to put it on.
Hey,
That's
listen.
right.
So I met Marissa at ETH Denver, right?
Yeah.
And Marissa was really shy. No, I've never heard of that. I'll come check you out. She has this really soft voice, but she is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And the highlight of that Caishe event was Marissa has been around here and she's been a lot more comfortable in her skin. Talking, you can see her just confidence growing in IRL, in person,
Yeah.
as she's activated in this community. Her dad sat there with almost alligator tears in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He was so proud. He's like, I cannot believe this is the girl who would never ever talk. She got up there and held this whole thing down. Like he was alligator, like he was just in awe of what his baby girl is blossoming into. So, and you can just see her growing, and it's only been 4 months and she's been in our community.
Yeah.
Make
So
impact. So, I call us the Web3 Avengers, man. She like Ironheart, so if you follow if you understand, the analogy, just tap in and you'll see this woman in her full glory in ABC because she's cooking up, and you might want to tap in soon because she's about to lead the country too.
real
You know what I'm
quick.
saying?
The price just went up. She's going to Greece.
Yesterday's price is not
Today's price.
You heard? You know what I'm saying? So she's going to Europe soon. So, if you want to have a conversation with her or just see what she's working on, just pull up the ABC, y'all, for real.
Once I got recommendations on the Greek Isles.
That's super fly, man. So yeah, man. Then again, we had Tia's birthday on Thursday. We held it down. Marlon came through. Man, it was phenomenal, man. We just had to give Tia her flowers.
Literally.
We gave Project Pie Boys their flowers. Who else we gave flowers to? Trav, it was his birthday. We gave the bar chef Marlon his flowers too, man, for just bringing everybody together collectively, man. It's superb, man, to be a part of this group of people right here. They're the smartest people I've ever been around, man. So, man, we clicking on all cylinders. I was working on the flyer for the new event coming up this weekend, so I was happy about that, getting that cooked up. So July 11th, we got that Major League Baseball All-Star Week popping, along with blockchain, AI, DJ set mixer at the bookstore gallery. It's going down. That shit is gonna be super lit. Can't wait to get that going on. And man, we just rocking and rolling, man. We got events from NFT NYC that I do want to talk about. So if we got our guy Ant Mathis available, I'm gonna put him up on the stage, y'all. I'm gonna request him to speak. We got Joey Cheeze in the building, so we're gonna go ahead and also invite him to speak. They both went to NFT NYC. We saw Mason out there, you know, big up to Mason Leno from Stand With Crypto. He was out there repping the shirt. I saw the video of the shirt and it went viral in my eyes, man. You know what I'm saying? That shit was super lit, man. So I was happy about that, man.
That was
So
really good.
we got a couple of speakers up on stage. We're gonna have Ant go first. Ant, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Appreciate you tapping in.
Yeah, absolutely. Great day, amazing day. Happy day of the sun. Shout out to RC, Tia, Joe, and T.Gold. Yeah, not only this last week, but the whole month of June. Yesterday I sat down with Trav with him and his family for birthday breakfast. I told him, I said, man, this month we've been really, really cooking. I'm glad that your birthday is today, not tomorrow, because I don't know if I would have been able to make it.
That's how he said that.
Call. And yeah, it was yesterday we had a day, and today we have another day. And if there's something tomorrow, I'm gonna be there too. But just really proud of the ABC team. Before I jump into NFT NYC, just really proud of the ABC team. It's like when we started activating for Atlanta Tech Week, and June 11th came up. Before that, it was a Women of Web3 event on June 10th, and then on June 12th, we were celebrating our 3-year anniversary. And then we just kept going. We've been going ever since. And this month is wrapping up. And a dope week last week. So much that went on. Events on Monday. I flew out to New York on Tuesday. I believe we had something with Chris and Van on Wednesday. Back on Thursday, we had our normal panel on Thursday, and then we had Camp Kirk Studios on Friday. And I'll share a little bit more about that later when requested. But the whole thing about Stand With Crypto, NFT NYC, that was my first time in New York for NFT NYC. It was a dope opportunity just to be up there, to be with, Stand With Crypto, a few of the other chapter presidents, and just see our impact in the space. For me, it was just kind of surreal because, I mean, I know I'm not the only one, but how many kids got dropped off for a grandma's house on December 31st, and they were still watching ABC, and the clock ticked down to January 1st, and everybody was watching the jumbo trons and screens in Times Square.
No doubt.
And for me, just to be there, knowing that they were about to share the Stand With Crypto commercial, the logos, the signs there in Times Square, I was just like, wow, this is pretty cool that, kind of coming, thinking about that and then being there then, and to be able to experience that with everybody else, but also know that I was there because of my community with ABC. I'm coming up on 1 year with Stand With Crypto, and it's crazy just to think about all the things that we've been doing with Stand With Crypto for the last year, but really just ABC in general over the last 3 years. But there was a lot of cool projects at NFT NYC. For me, once again, it just, when I go to these conferences, I just look to see how we can leverage opportunities and see what ABC may be missing out on, or what it is that we're talking about, that they're talking about. But it's just another reiteration, one of those things that we're doing the right thing at the right time with the right people.
No doubt.
Here in Atlanta, and so I just think that we keep going. I was also introduced to permissionless when I went up to NFT NYC. I wasn't really up to par on what permissionless was, but permissionless was going on while I was going into NFT NYC, and there's a lot of people that really appreciated permissionless for what it was. So I want to give a shout out to Mason Leno. I want to give a shout out to Tamara, Carrie Lynn, Miss Nifty. Owen Rogers was out there holding it down for the ATL. Lawrence Avia with NFT Energy Drink was out there. Jay Chains, Blue, Cass, they're all out there.
That's right.
So it was just cool to see that, there's an event going on with NFT NYC, and the conversation around NFT NYC is kind of changing a little bit. From what I understand, it's not as attended as it was once before. But what they're sharing now with NFT NYC is more on the technology behind NFTs, as far as like smart contracts. There was more conversations on real world assets and tokenization. So for me, that's the big takeaway for NFT NYC.
Tokenization.
The art is still important. The art is what introduced us into the NFT smart contract space. But now where it's leading to is like the real world applications, real world assets,
Yes, sir.
And then as I was leaving NFT NYC, instead of getting in an Uber and paying $100 to go 5 miles, I just started walking. And toured my hotel and had a chance to go to MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. As you know, just from June 11th, the real world assets tokenization of art is something I'm interested in. Saw a lot of dope opportunities for something that's coming up for us here soon. And then when I got back to the hotel, I went to the corner store, bodega, grabbed some water, and I'm walking back and I see.
Hold on, you didn't get a chopped cheese?
Chopped cheese.
Chopped cheese.
I got a mural. I saw a mural from Illmatic. 30 years. I was like, man,
Oh, yeah.
at the right time. So that was cool, man. So shout out to
Bodega
New York.
Cats.
Shout out to NFT NYC, and I appreciate y'all asking. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yo, Ant, I'm glad you went out there and represented the right way, man. It looked like you had a great time, man. So, yo, Cheese, do you have any photos from Ant from that event? Because we can post some, because if not, I'll send you some. I have some in my iPad. I'll email you. And while we just discussing, you can just post them in the drop so people can check out some of those photos. Word. So, Ant, now we got you on stage. So, do you want to talk about Cam Kirk Studios, how that experience was? Because to see you, do your thing and put together the ideas you was talking about with the Web3 artists, we had, you put D-Web on the spot, you know what I'm saying? That's our resident trader, with Web Ties. He came through, but, he was on his music tip, so it was dope that he had an on-the-spot performance. That shit was lit. The environment was dope. Then you got Chris's sister out there, who's a gala artist. She performed some dope hits, man, and she's like one of the top 10 artists on Gallup Music. So, her performance was spectacular, man. So, Ant, you want to talk more about Cam Kirk Studios experience and how that was for you? You did a phenomenal job, too. Word.
T.Gold, I appreciate that. Yeah, Cam Kirk Studios for me was inspired by the creatives as far as music and art in Atlanta blockchain center space. We live in Atlanta. We know what Atlanta does for the rest of the world. And we know that we're in the field of blockchain, Web3, crypto, AI, and Web3. And we're working and we're educating, we're onboarding. But what's the best way to onboard somebody into the space? Through the frequency of music and art. So I have been talking about this for a couple weeks now, maybe a couple months. Marlon, D-Web, it's not even been a month. When I came back from, it's been about a month. Like I said, the night of the pizza down, when I got home, I listened to D-Web, I listened to Mania, I listened to Wild and Free, What We All Gonna Make It, I listened to Lisa Frank Core with To The Moon. And I was just listening to what they were saying in their music, and I know there's also artists that are saying great things on different blockchain Web3 platforms like Gallup, Bonus XYZ, Audius, etc. So for me, just really coming off the momentum off of June 11th, and we had Gerald Keys there who works with Ludacris and Scenario RC and produced music right there in front of us. And then there's other conversations around other top producers that we all know of, where now there's an exchange on how we're going to be responsible with this technology. I know that, it really wasn't a fast turnaround. I know it seemed like that to some people, but I've shared with maybe RC and T.Gold that through this process and speaking with Stanford Crypto, initially I had the vision for it, but as I was going down the path to make it happen, it wasn't fitting, it wasn't coming together, and I wasn't going to force it. And I talked to someone earlier today, if it doesn't seem right, it doesn't fit, I'm not going to sell out just to make it happen.
That's right.
There was a venue that wanted us to come through and take part in, and it was a chocolate exhibit gallery. And I have nothing against chocolate, it's a dope space. But what we were looking to do just didn't fit into that space at the time.
I understand.
And like a alarm clock, just like a ding ding ding, it went off, and it was Cam Kirk Studios.
Yeah.
Just remember them from being across the street from Magic City, on last year, Joe and Oral Rogers put on a panel with them, and now they're in a new location on the Beltline. That's N44. That's the area that we're looking to do work in. It's right down the street from the bookstore gallery, which is it's like right down the Beltline. It just made sense. And as far as these conversations, it just made sense. So this going over there and seeing the space, it's all Atlanta. Cam Kirk is one of the top creatives in this city. He's worked with some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies. They're here. He's worked with some of the biggest artists, and he's a photographer. And for me, it was just like getting ABC in that space, outside of our space, but having everyone from Atlanta Blockchain Center, and you'll see, I think some of y'all remember the message sent out beforehand. Let's leverage this space for our brands, our startups, our companies, and let's get as much content as possible so that we can, we have great content, but this content lives, it goes viral. So for me, it was, getting all the dope people in the space. Shout out to D-Web, shout out to Monia, T.Gold, Joe, thank you, bro. I talked to Joe a while ago about this, and I know he has my back, and he always has, and it's like, me and Joe can cook up something real quick. I have a lot of experience doing this, and I know a lot of people don't know that. I don't need a whole lot of time to get things done like that, and we don't. Because we have a dope team, we can turn things around pretty fast. So, Cam Kirk Studios, I want to shout out to Marley, Rich Nett, man, so many people. I'm sure I'll put this in the recap in a post later. But for me, it was just important that all the work that we've been doing for the last 3 years, and we got 2 years to go, we're top 10 and 5, it's now for us to start putting these elements together of what we're doing in the city of Atlanta and the creative side, and let this frequency take us to the rest of the world. That was my overall goal. And this is just a start. Someone had mentioned to us within our community, we went to Camp Her Studios. There's some other venues that we're about to hit right after this. I'm not gonna put a timeline on it, but this is gonna be something that's gonna be continuous, where I can see it growing into maybe possibly a large arena type activation.
There we go.
Let's go.
There we go.
That's what
I
I'm
was
talking about.
waiting for him to say it.
That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna be on a bigger stage, bigger platform, and a bigger audience, man. Tapping in and getting people educated in this space. So, Ant, man, hats off to you. Salute. We appreciate that. Go ahead.
Just one more thing is just, some people didn't understand the vision at first. They probably wanted something grand, but for me, it was just like we planted a bamboo seed. And I talked to Jay Rich, and I said, man, I planted a bamboo seed. I wanted us to plant this bamboo seed. And he looked at me, and he got it. It's like, that we really grasped everybody. So we all really did what you're supposed to do in marketing. We maximized our potential in a very short period of time. Punched the shit out of everybody. When I used to work with Nike, they told me, maximize the opportunity. And we did that in the month of June. And we're going to keep going up. We can plateau what we want.
No plateauing.
So that's what it was. Slap the shit out of them. Let's keep it moving.
That's right. Yo, Ant, man, I just want to thank you, man, and Just Cheeze. I know you was there holding them down too. And at the same time, we got to big up to Easy Money, Esquire. He's out here listening. He was up there holding it down, speaking to P.D. Parker, another dope artist in Atlanta. They had a quick little panel, so I think that was P.D. Parker's first time accepting Bitcoin with the transaction that our guy Brandon had did. He bought his art, gave him some Bitcoin. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? You artists, man, it's not that complicated. That was a transaction on Cash App, right?
It was.
See what I'm saying?
But remember what Petey said too. It was beautiful. He said that became a learning opportunity for him in his business, that he is now able to structurally put his business in a place where he can accept digital assets for payments and commissions. Like Brandon, shout out to the homie. Like, man, he's just dope. That's my guy. Love him to death. Got flyer kicks in you for sure. The shoe closet is hurting yours, man.
And a beautiful wife.
And a beautiful wife, man.
Beautiful
and
family.
Like the whole family coming through. But he's also like all of us, man. He's a polymath and he's into art. And he's into this blockchain. Like, don't get it twisted. But he's into the art, and he found something that he wanted, and he was like, I would like to own that art, and I would like to get this art in a way that penetration has not allowed me to yet. The artist community has not yet become educated enough on the blockchain and receiving digital assets as payment to structure themselves to receive this very simple transaction. And then, in the most benevolent way, he walked PD through, this is how I can give you this value, and you can verify it. You don't need me. He's showing you can verify it on the chain. I'm going to give you this amount for this art. This value is now yours. This is how you accept it. Now you can go do this with other people from my community who may also now be interested in your art. And I'm going to go tell them, I found something I love. I'm putting this up in my home. y'all know who I am. I'm serious about this, and I found this artist. He worked with me on this. He's now part of the community. PD is a blockchain boy now.
That's right. That's right.
No,
He's
but
straight up
I-
and
like,
down.
I'm just saying, add something to
I'm
this
just
point.
saying, like, but that all happened, and then that moment that we all got at Cam Kirk Studio, that wasn't pre-planned. Like we didn't have that conversation days in advance. Ant was coming back from New York. We were moving on the fly. He was like, "RC, you ready?" Yes. So he was like, "All right, I gave Cheeze this information, T.Gold this information. I'm going to be there at this time. I'm bringing this. Can you do that?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm bringing this. I'm bringing that." He was like, "All right, here we go. I'll see you there." Cheeze.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to add on to that. You raised a good point around, especially around art and the relation to Bitcoin, artists and the relationship to Bitcoin. When Trav and I were out in base camp last summer, when we were out there for the weekend. A lot of the artists that came out to the Friends with Benefits, which is an NFT community, to their festival weekend, right? A lot of the artists were only, like, Trav and I started telling them about Bitcoin, and there were a lot of artists that aren't, they're pro NFTs but not pro Bitcoin.
That's crazy.
And we were just thinking to ourselves, like, how did that come to happen? And I think mainly it's because of the exposure to the space. They got into the space because they were told that their art could be profitable if they could just put it on chain. And that's not the full picture.
Right.
Right? That's not the full picture. So I think there's a big opportunity here, especially in stuff like what Brandon did. Is something that the education that people need for around the entire space and how they can activate their product, which is in this case art, in different channels or different assets that people want to be able to pay for things in. I just wanted to add that in.
That's dope, man. Tons of ideas coming to mind. Bucket Art and Company, Karima, we're gonna come talk to you.
Yo, man. just know that.
Here we are.
Karima, we coming to talk to you. That's my homegirl. Shout out to the Bucket Art
Can
Company.
you bring Brandon on stage?
Yeah. I got Brandon on stage.
What up, B?
What's going on, B? We appreciate you tapping in, brother. We just giving you a shout out, and just letting the people know that was a dope thing that you did as far as just offering Bitcoin to an artist for some dope art that he had. So yeah, man, how was your experience at Camp Kirk Studios? And man, it was a dope night, man. What you think? What's your thoughts, brother?
Yo, man. Forced to get from Harlem, B.
Yo, you stupid.
Shout out to TCK, the whole crew. Yeah, 1 second, actually, hold on, I gotta handle something. I didn't mean to jump on stage and hop right off.
You
But
good?
shout out real quick to y'all, man. Cam Kirk Studios was dope. It was cool to be able to, talk with PD in a public platform like that, just to give y'all some context on that whole thing, man. Like, so, PD I ran into years ago, when I actually first moved to Atlanta at an event off Peter Street, and was with me, if I ain't mistaken. And we was just walking, and the homie knew PD. And so PD had done some murals in some places, and obviously he's a dope artist, so he's been around. Shout out to the Narrative Showroom as well. And I've been to a couple of his exhibits, and I've been able to respect his art. And so when I first met him in person, I said, "Hey man, are you familiar with blockchain? Like, you do NFTs?" He's like, "Nah, I heard about that though. I want to look into it." So this is like 2022, if not maybe 2023. And he said, "I want to look into it, but of course, y'all know how artists be. I was shout out to Web3 out here, and I'm Rich out here.
Rich out E.
My language like a boo. We was outside hooping yesterday. That boy, man, listen, man.
That's ill.
We got red. Listen, I won one with him, was lost one against him. You know how mad go.
Oh, okay.
Hey, what happened to my invite? Y'all was a little scared, huh? I get it. I get it. I get it.
Don't want them blockchain girls.
To your balls.
Don't want them blockchain girls.
I overstand.
Nah, my bad. I didn't mean to sidetrack. But nah, was gonna shout out websites on his call. I was gonna surprise him, but now he gonna still be surprised. But hey, shout out to God overall too. T, I heard what you were saying earlier. Just getting the word and growing your spirit. That's always important. As y'all know, wealth inspires blessing, or wealth establishes blessing. Excuse me, to inspire earthly souls. As y'all know, so it's always
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, so back to the Peter Street man. I asked Pete in, about NFTs, and he did it basically full circle through this year when I was able to buy a piece of art from him. I asked him, I said, hey man, I'll pay you in crypto. He was actually like, nah, bro.
Damn.
It's like cash or something. Maybe he said he was open to it at first, and then I was like, all right, bet. And at first, if y'all know about any type of like negotiation or art, I don't like necessarily ever just devalue an artist's work ever, right? But if an artist is willing to negotiate the price, heck yeah, I'm gonna negotiate the price, right?
No doubt.
So the price I was able to get, it was $1,500 equivalent, but my kind of like angle was, hey man, I'm paying you in Bitcoin. So if people would have been paying you in Bitcoin years ago for all your art, you would have been stacking it up real nice. And it was quick, it was easy. Again, it was through Cash App, and it was something that it didn't require a lot of heavy pitching. It just had to break down that conversation and explain how simple it is, how it relates to money, how it relates to telecommunications, and that was enough to be able to allow him to be open to receiving that payment. We're working on some other stuff too, man, but yeah, that was a dope experience, just being able to talk with him, and on a public platform like that. And hey, y'all, just one thing too, man. I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna drop the mic. And then I'm gonna hop back on. I gotta handle something real quick. But shout out to again websites, man. He don't even know it, so this is like world breaking news right here. He has a game in development that's being built right now as we speak, actually.
Okay.
So he'll have a game out officially. He'll tell y'all more about it. But shout out to the website, man. Shout out to with Crypto, man. Shout out to Ant Master. Shout out to Skylark. Shout out to Be Wise, man. We out this thing.
Breaking news. Our guy, D-Web, is cooking up a game. Like I said,
game.
the motherfucking stove don't get cut off around here, man. I'm telling you, man, we stay chefing it up. Man,
Hot
that's
belly
so
stove
crazy,
at
yo.
grandma's house in the wintertime.
So crazy. So, yo, D-Web, I know you listening, brother. I'm going to invite you up on stage. Hopefully, you're not preoccupied, but I'm going to give you an invite. Hopefully, you can hop up here and say some things, man. But somebody else chimed in right quick. Who was that, Ant?
Yeah, that was me. Shout out to Brandon. Ever since Brandon made that transaction, we've been trying to find a way and a platform to share that transaction of buying Brandon purchasing our art with Bitcoin. And we've worked on that that's something we've actually been working on for a couple months. And there's a Coinbase commercial out now where there's people in retail who are having their customers offer crypto to them, and they were just saying they're happy, and they realized that the only way they were going to sell their retail was if they accepted crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the inspiration behind that. But we're in Atlanta, and we know Atlanta's the culture, the art, the music, entrepreneurship, and PD doesn't. I think you may know this, but PD is very tapped in, not only as a dope artist, but a lot of artists know PD. PD knows a lot of artists. So for me, this was just dope. I shared with PD that night, like, bro, you're a catalyst for the cultural renaissance of artists here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. There's so many artists now that are going to see this, and they're going to be like, hey, how'd you do that? When before they were like, why? I don't know. Now they're going to be like, how'd you do that? So this is, once again, an important example of educating, now onboarding, and we tap right into the center of the art, culture, and the renaissance that's going on here. So shout out to P. Parker and shout out to Brandon for making all that happen. And let's get it.
That's right. Let's get it, man. So, yeah, man. Ain't nobody fucking with my click, yo. I put money on that. That's for real, man. I appreciate everybody's thoughts and comments on this past week. I know our segments are kind of shorter than that, especially when we have an intro about what we've been through, but we usually we talk about the weekend, but this week was so lit, and this is coming off Atlanta Tech Week. Like RC said, man, like, you know, we still haven't even processed everything. You know what I'm saying?
We still getting footage back. We still reviewing footage.
Oh, shout out to Rich Annette with the footage, man. He has some dope footage of all of the events too, man. So I'm looking forward
that
to
photo
that
shoot that we did last night.
Oh,
Let me tell you,
so
man,
much
LaFleur
stuff.
Films,
Man.
he was like, yo, let's get into it. And
We got content coming, y'all.
I have shout out to Tara Cherie, my CMO, my muse, my inspiration. During Tech Week, she ginned up a damn banner for the Polymath podcast. Polymath comes out in October. Shout out to TS for doing this amazing work with this. So we've been running with this color thing, and I was just telling Tia, the color thing runs all the way through the brand. We get into the booth in the back, they turn the lights green. They turn the lights green. They turn the lights green. And Rich is like, you got the jacket on. I'm like, got the Crowns and Hobbs jacket out. Shout out to Benny and T.O. Crowns and Hobbs Brewing Company, Inglewood, California, since 2021.
That shit was good too.
Woo! Yeah, we had some miles to Italy. We had an Italian Pilsner on deck. I shared T.O. You sent me some product. I shared with the family. So Crowns and Hops was also in the building at Cam Kirk Studios that night.
And you had a fly coat on too.
Oh yeah. So shout out
fly.
to
He's probably the cleanest one last night. Y'all. I'm gonna have to give it up to him.
that
And
is-
NFT Energy got in there too.
Yeah, NFT Energy was in there too.
That's
And,
right.
and so I had on the Crowns and Hops merch, which is actually a jacket. We did a collaboration with an artist in Los Angeles. She makes clothing and artwork. She made art for a can. We were doing a Juneteenth can release. And if you go and search the Crowns and Hops website, you can see the can. But this coat that they made, limited release, I was like, I need one of those. Actually, when I saw them posted online, I sent the COO a message on Instagram. T.O., I need that jacket. T.O., I need that jacket. I bought that jacket, and I wore that jacket last night, and then or to the event. And Rich was like, we got to shoot that. He took the jacket, and they just started taking pictures. All of a sudden, and then Ant walked in the room, and it turned into a music video. And so for about a good 10-15 minutes, we were in there just shooting in the green hue. And I texted TS. I was like, I sent her a couple of pictures and one of the videos. She was like, oh my god, oh my god. She got excited. She was like, y'all using the color, y'all right on brand. She was like, y'all have fun. And she was like, send me the Google Drive when y'all get the content. I'll get to work.
That's right.
Man, we just walk in the room and start creating, cooking, vibing, and it just happens. I can't wait to see what she does with that. I can't wait to see what we did with Cam Kirk Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Kim, I would love to see what you do with it. I mean, it's a movie.
Yeah,
Certainly.
Literally could make a movie, a June movie.
That's right. June was probably the most lit month, and we only halfway through the year, y'all.
Bro, we just warming up.
Just warming up. Now, I sound like B. You had something to say, brother? You on stage? Go ahead, man.
Yeah, my bad.
No, you good?
I think it's a delay. But no, just off, man, I don't know how I forgot RC, man. Shout out to him.
Big time.
That's right.
We're on the West Coast with it. But ain't one thing too, I want is a few things like
Midwest.
you know, what we'll put the info on it. Ohio, y'all.
Oh, go blue!
You got to shout
Oh,
out
yeah,
Ohio.
go ahead.
No, you good. Nah, so basically, like, you know, since the whole thing has been sure, like, I love to see it. Shout out to Project Flight Labs, man. The Liquid Token is dang near $6 million market cap almost. And that's
pissed.
On Friday. I'm too busy whipping the web on the tech. So thank you for having that experience, though, because even the tech was provided by Skyward. So
Exactly.
It's so hard to work and do the quest. I be so sick. Like this time I was like, no, I'm doing the quest. Next thing I'm getting pulled here and there. I'm pissed. I know I'm about to work, man. I'm trying to do my first quest and complete it. My bad, Brandon. Go ahead. But I was pissed.
That was it. And again, just going back to the website thing, look out for that too. That's all around the topic again. So not for real, just look out for it. And just keep doing your due diligence, find the breadcrumbs, and well, let's do it together. We know how to do it. We can do what we need to do. So let's eat.
That's right. Let's go. Let's go. So yeah, I appreciate everybody's thoughts, commentary, and energy throughout this past month, man. Like we've been rocking and rolling, we've been cooking. We got more events that's lined up for y'all, so I'm super excited about the future of ABC and what everybody else is cooking, y'all. Oh my God, this is just getting started. So, speaking of just getting started, y'all ready to get to the topic? I was about to say, we did a whole hour. I don't think we ever had an hour to talk about the intro of what we've been cooking up.
For the stuff that we do, just for the stuff that we do.
That's right. A whole nother, podcast, right? We might have to select another day. We might have to putting out more content on another day during the week. You know what I mean? 'Cause we got a lot of shit going on, y'all. Like I said, this is just the beginning. So we're going to get right into the topics. All right? Let's talk about Coinbase. Anybody got any of that Coinbase stock, that coin stock? If you did, congratulations, because it just hit an all-time high after a 40% surge in a month, all right? So, its all-time high now is $375.25, surpassing its previous November 2021 peak of $342.98. So the stock jumped 6% on Thursday and is up 40% for the month, including a 24% rally in the past 5 trading days. All right, so now the market cap sits at $94 billion. All right, so the key drivers behind this surge is number one, Circle, the company behind USDC, has seen its stock soar 156% since June 1st, its debut. So Coinbase benefits from the revenue sharing deal with Circle, earning about 60% of the USDC revenue last year and receives 50% of USDC interest income. All right.
That's good stablecoin news.
That's right. And also, Coinbase is now part of the S&P 500. All right. So with that being said, their stock been on fire. So I gotta ask my co-hosts, what's their thoughts on Web3 companies just really kicking ass on Wall Street? And do you see any other companies like a Robinhood or Strategy? They all been cooking up. What other companies do you think that's going to have a potentially good year?
I just want to talk about just Coinbase real quick and how well they're doing. Obviously, with Circle having a monster month this month, and just what it means to the crypto space as a whole, and where we're going. Like, we know it. A lot of people have the fear and greed is down to probably like 35, 40. So a lot of people are still fearful right now in terms of like the indexes and stuff like that, and just overall sentiment. But if you can't really see the writing on the wall, how TriFi's appetite is stomach on their back hungry for what's being cooking. Like I keep saying, it's us sitting in that living room twiddling our fingers for Thanksgiving, knowing we're not getting no breakfast, no lunch. We gotta wait. And that's what this feels like. But this eating is about to be good. I tell you.
That's right.
I'm telling you.
That's a lot.
And that's what's going on.
Hey.
Well, like the environment is changing. So just to give like context, Coinbase has been going through an excruciating regulatory experience, and the regulatory environment since November election has changed considerably. and you're starting to see things change for Coinbase, Ripple, the agencies, personnel changes, and we've started to see a congressional climate that is very conducive. We've started to have momentum on the Genius Act. The Senate has finally begun to progress regulatory clarity that will bring opportunity to the ecosystem. We have the federal government now being directed to use all collateral types for mortgage lending.
That's right.
You can now use crypto as collateral to buy a home. Prior to that, crypto had been locked out of the mortgage industry, and people had to find creative ways to use crypto to buy homes. And I hate to put somebody on the spot, but I've had this conversation with the crypto tutors, very specifically Nina and Lisa, about how they have used digital assets in order to buy real estate assets.
Oh, wow.
And something for them to talk about. But now they don't have to go around sort of the machinations of a stagnated system that hasn't innovated in ages. They now have the ability to use the digital assets to store value for collateral for a traditional mortgage for their home. These things are no longer hypothetical use cases. These are real, actual things that are happening. So I'm having a real good week because as we're also activating, I'm watching at the national, federal, and international level the regulatory environment change here in the U.S. I'm watching what that means for us. I'm watching the Wall Street Journal pay attention to what's going on down here and what we're building, and I'm watching the political climate change very distinctly prior to the election.
That's right.
The senatorial representation in the state of Georgia was not open-minded enough to crypto to move in favor of it. Since that time, we've seen both Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock move in the direction of crypto through education and enlightenment. Shout out to Aunt Mathis.
That's right.
Shout out to you, Aunt Mathis, for articulating the policy points and the use cases for crypto, specifically in Georgia, and highlighting to Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock the volume of the crypto community here in the state of Georgia, and allowing them to commune with the community and to move forward on legislation that's going to be very helpful. The stablecoin bill and the Genius Act and some of the things that will come from that is the first step. But those things are all happening based on this ecosystem and community here in Atlanta.
That's right.
And here in the Atlanta Blockchain Center. So we are having fun, we are celebrating, but we are also moving the needle. So thank you and shout out to Stand With Crypto and Mason and those folks are supporting us and the work that we're doing and keeping an eye on what we're doing down here and communicating that to the rest of the world.
That's right. That's right. Cheese.
Yeah, I think for Coinbase, this is definitely good news. To answer your question, what I think about other stocks that might have a similar effect, I'm looking at what Circle's going to do. Circle has they shot right out the gate.
That's right.
I think Robinhood could be interesting because despite rocky roads and the relationships they have with their customers, they are leaning heavy into this space and they are already retail friendly. They recently, announced that they're going to launch their own blockchain as well. So that's an interesting point. But just thinking about some other stuff that are about to take off in this space. I know Kraken just announced. I don't know if we had this on the list.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
Definitely talk about that.
Kraken just launched a competitor to Cash App, right? So now they're going to go a different way. But the message that everybody is sending is we're going to onboard you into crypto, right? So whether it's retail apps that already accept fiat to fiat transactions or straight up crypto apps, all roads lead to crypto.
That's right.
So this cycle, more than last cycle, has more on-ramps, right? Whether it's a stable coin, whether it's all these apps that I just mentioned. So the on-ramps lead to more buying activity. So yeah, I'm just ready for the wave.
Let's go. I appreciate everybody's thoughts. And see, this is our first time having RC here, so I'm glad that he brought up the fact of the regulation that's going on in DC, and how they're taking a softening stance to that. So I'm glad that you highlighted that, brother. And it's also good to see people like Aunt Mathis literally speaking to our senators and getting them informed in this space, man. Like, Ant has a very, very important role at Stand With Crypto, so he's definitely, doing what he's supposed to do. So, who knows what his future will look like in the politics space? You know what I'm saying? So, we do got JF Wooten. You know what? I remember this individual. We used to tap in a lot. What's going on? We got you on stage, brother. You got any thoughts or comments on this particular story or anything we discussed earlier?
Hey, brother, it's been over a year, I think, since we had the opportunity to get the crew together for some of these incredible conversations. And what a timely place to do it after everything that happened here and then 2 months ago after that IPO from Circle. And it's good. How are you doing? How are things going for everyone?
Man, we are cooking. Everything is great. The community is flourishing. We getting a lot more new people coming to the space, learning about what's going on. Different industries are now tapping in. So, yeah, man, how you been, John? You been all right?
I've been all right. My constituents have been working on this Genius Act for years. They're very excited to get it across the finish line to start wrapping things together. And I've been working on the market structure like before. And I've got to ask you guys, do you seriously think that this is good news now that we have Coinbase as this central custodian in such a high regard for the Wall Street elites? An entity which makes so much of its money now off of interest payments that really should go to our on-chain wallets and simply do not if we don't put our assets in their hands to lend out to who knows what custodians to yield our interest.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I appreciate that comment. In question, actually.
I think this is the moment they've been waiting for, and I think this is the moment why the markets have been so suppressed, because they have had to be able to figure out a way to get their claws in the market in ways which they can maximize their benefits. And so I mean, we know that big corporations are going to manipulate and do what they've always done. So is it a good thing? Absolutely not. Is it a expected thing? I think yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's a necessary evil. So, in order for us to see the gains that we want to see in this space, whether Bitcoin hitting $250,000, $500,000, or $1 million, we're gonna need that institutional money. We're gonna need that enterprise money. We're gonna need, unfortunately, the people who've been behind the scenes, controlling things and buying up everything. Of course they would have come in here and buy up as much Bitcoin, and you see what BlackRock is doing. They buying ETH. Trump got a bunch of ETH. So we gotta expect a certain level of corporate adoption. Even by the people we don't like or the entities we don't like. So I feel like it's a necessary evil. But that is a great comment. Anybody else wanna have any thoughts on this?
I do one. So first, I guess my background, I'm the former general counsel for Fireblocks for product and regulatory. So I also have spent a bit of time working on Pt.1, Genius Act, and these conversations about the actual language of the bill. I think that we can't have a perfect world. The regulation won't be perfect. The entrance to the market won't be perfect. The community ecosystem, we know that there are other people who are going to participate in a way to take advantage of the community. I mean, that is the God's honest truth. And I think the other, reality is that there are people who are building outside of that, and as penetration and adoption become more widespread, and as people become more conversant in the blockchain and Web3 and the solutions and the use cases, and that will create opportunities for other entrants to break down the walls and the false intermediaries that they're attempting to create, because, as you said, there will be a rush to efficiency, and that capital and the disbursement of it will seek efficiency through the system naturally. But we're starting at the beginning. This is like the opening salvo of a 9-inning, game.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, I'll add something.
Oh,
with
go ahead,
that.
Cheese.
Yeah, I mean, we have I don't say fallen in love, but we have adopted this experience of what we want crypto to be like. But at the end of the day, we have to recognize what dictates the stock market still, right? Which is investors and Coinbase and Circle. After these IPOs, they have lent themselves into investor-based companies that have to consider investor-based ideas for their stock price to remain what their stock price wants to be, right? So that's a whole other conversation that plays outside of what the technology was inherently made to do. And when you see stuff like OpenAI doing things that we like, Meta doing things that we like, but then tomorrow Meta doing things that we don't like, right? It's where we're in the infancy of Coinbase, for Coinbase, right? And there's going to be things that they do that we don't like. There's going to be things that we do that we like. But I think our goal, anyone's goal in this space that's in an opportunity like with technology, it lowers the barrier of entry, and you should look to get your hands dirty and learn or access these things from your own custodian wallets, right? That way, not totally dependent on this. But yeah, I don't want to say I'm in agreement, but I'm on the same side when it comes to these things that we got to be aware of, just in regards to how companies make decisions overall.
Good points. That was some great commentary from all of my guests, my co-hosts, and we got Easy Money Esquire with his hand up. What's your thoughts on this, brother? The floor is yours.
I think one thing Tia mentioned was price suppression. So price suppression, if we're being honest, has been happening since Bitcoin was around like 20K before it ripped up all the way, to where it is now. So when you look at the even like 30K, right, and then even a level like 65K, where I think Germany, I think that's where they sold like 65K for a full pitch. So for Bitcoin, like thought they were dumping at the top. I think when we look at that, then with mentioned also about the institutions having to flow in to create the market we want. Yeah, but I do agree with your take also about how these payments should be, like these interest payments should be made on chain. So like, especially with all these platforms that farm the hell out of users with points. My thought would be that is a quote unquote good way to show that similarity of a credit card usage, or miles, frequent flyer mileage, all that type of stuff. So, but I disagree with those points aren't dollars, right? Those points should have some value, but I think the tricky part that's been going on around securities, this NFT security, or me look at freedom. And so when we look at what freedom even looks like, how to create wealth, like, yeah, for, you know, the jokes and memes in the world, we know that the government has an infinite money printer and will always print, because they've stated that the Fed, like an infinite money of supply, they will print if they need to. But where it's all just numbers on the screen, that system is definitely just numbers on the screen, right? We know the importance of knowing our, you know, seed phrases and really knowing how to custody these assets and where to hold them. And that's also our job and our duty as like these early adopters. But that's also where usually when we are early, our interest for yield payments usually comes in the form of airdrop. So that's where, like, if it were more clear to where even an airdrop itself is like, it's at a drop. Taking in this airdrop, like the form at one point, I think it said you have to write down the social security number and the name and the person of who sent you like money. You have to file that type of stuff. And it's like, what?
Yeah, that was crazy.
How do you, and that happened.
Yeah, that was
And this
crazy.
is where it's like, yes, a lot of companies will be afraid to do their chain on business fee. Custodians like Coinbase, even like I think tomorrow there's some rumored stuff to be happening with Robinhood, announcing like tokenization of stocks.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And we'll see if it's true or whatever. Sources trust me, bro. Sources trust me, bro. That's the source. Just trust me, bro.
There's a company though. There's a company that just got. You mentioned it on Thursday, T.Gold, the company that just got the first rights to tokenize stocks.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go to that.
Yeah, and then like if I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to have something to NASDAQ.
Yeah. Hold on.
So again, do your research, follow the breadcrumbs, follow the money. Being said, to answer the question, I think all of what everybody said is valid. It's just something we know. It is what it is, right? Cam and Mace, shout out to all of them. But yeah, it is what it is, and that's just where we gotta know what we do and the importance of what we do and continue to be the disciples of Satoshi Nakamoto.
That's right.
Yeah, fact.
All right. So, speaking of tokenizing stocks, that was actually Coinbase is looking to do that. That's one company.
Yeah.
Another company that I was thinking about doing that was Kraken, doing
Kraken.
tokenized stocks. So we are definitely in a new age in this space when it comes to, you know, adoption and how people are, you know, finding utility for blockchain. You know, tokenizing real world assets.
Denari.
Denari
and Gemini.
Denari and Gemini.
Yeah.
They also looking into tokenizing stocks.
Yeah, Denari was the first broker dealer registry to get offered a U.S. So Denari was the first tokenized equity platform just this week to get U.S. approval for basically brokering and dealing tokenized stocks. And then Coinbase and Kraken are also waiting for their registration to be confirmed as well. But Denari was the first one to get it.
That's right. Appreciate that information, Cheese. I appreciate everybody's thoughts on that. That was a hot topic, and that was actually just the first story. Man, we are cooking today. Yeah, man. So I think we need to make a pivot into, because we mentioned Kraken twice already. So I think I want to talk about what Kraken is going on. Kraken. They introduced this. Yo, you know what? Kraken's making a comeback, and Kraken is the ones responsible for it. All right, literally, they are now launching a new peer-to-peer payments app to rival Cash App and Venmo. It's called Crack. Okay, so people gonna ask you, yo, you got any crack? You know what I'm saying? So Crack is making a comeback. That's funny, but it's spelled Krake. All right. So this new peer-to-peer payments app.
I feel the Dare campaign coming.
Yeah, that's funny, yo. But yeah, that was a very funny play on that word crack that they chose that. So this new peer-to-peer payments app will allow users to send and receive over 300 currencies, including crypto, across 110 countries. Users don't need a bank account and instead use a crack tag. That's funny. Instead of hashtag, the crack tag to transact in fiat or crypto. Kraken CEO said that the app aims to modernize the outdated financial system, like RC previously said, and the app also offers yield earning options via Paxos USDG stablecoin. So I think that's pretty phenomenal. When I read this story, I was like, okay, that's a new way to rebrand crack. You know what I'm saying? They're bringing it to Web3 and have a new peer-to-peer, app. And they allow people to earn yield on the stablecoin. Now, I haven't used Paxos for their stable coins or anything like that. So has anybody used Paxos? And what is your thoughts? What is my panelist thoughts on this particular story, what Kraken is doing? We already talked about them having submitted applications to have tokenized stocks. So now, a peer-to-peer app to compete with them on Cash App. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, first, I hope we have access to it immediately in the U.S. I hope there aren't any hiccups, and I hope regulators don't try to do their 1-2 and give them a hard time. I used to like the off-board on Cash App just because of easyability when I needed to go back into fiat. Lately, Cash App has been very PayPal-ish. I would even say I've had an easier time using, getting my crypto off ramp with just regular Coinbase stuff and PayPal. And I'm a PayPal hater. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm a PayPal hater. I'm a Crypto.com hater. In many ways, because of fees and just some of their just hoops you gotta jump to be able to transact on their platform. Cash App, I did a bridge from my ETH wallet into Cash App, into Bitcoin, and they denied it, and they told me to send that shit back to another Bitcoin wallet.
Wow.
Because I used like a simple swap type of thing, and that means that they're stepping their monitoring up, and they're looking at, hey, that wallet doesn't have any transactions. Whatever their platform is using to regulate wallet-to-wallet transactions, they've started to implement it, and they've implemented very slowly. And so to have another option and to be able to call it crack, I'm ready to get addicted.
To Tia's point, that is also happening. So, on sort of the regulatory and security part of what's going on chain, the public chain is finding that there are more forensic analysis that's happening. The government agencies are getting more involved. You have companies like Chainalysis that are providing more tools across the chain. They're selling packages and services to people who are building on-chain who now have to have certain types of KYC, AML conversations. They're getting those service offerings from people who've been building. So you're looking at that. So you're starting to see now some of those offerings from those on-chain service providers are making their way to some of these service providers who are going to be offering Bitcoin. You can and other digital assets. You can expect that to start to proliferate across the industry. As these companies want to be public facing and they want to be compliant and they want to attract the ire, you're going to find more of that sort of engagement of those tools on your digital asset transactions. And that will happen more as we get into this peer-to-peer system. You were asking how we kind of felt about it. We're in Atlanta. Payments is what is Atlanta is known for in the technology space. This is the home of the National Cash Register and some of these other payments companies. You have more payment companies in the Georgia area than any other part of the country, I believe. So payment technology and watching the peer-to-peer and payment ecosystem around digital assets evolve is exciting, especially us here in Georgia. I really want to see what some of the local players are going to start doing and how they're going to start innovating. Some of the payment companies that are here, that work with some of the Fortune 500 companies that are here, I think we're going to start to see some of the things in our Home Depots, in our Chick-fil-A's,
right.
you know, and you know some of our museums and our experience locations here in Atlanta. You're going to start to see what penetration looks like when you can transact in digital assets, you know, and the use cases start to make sense. But there's going to be some people in your face. I use the Coinbase card for my wallet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I use the Coinbase card to cash. It's got the digital assets. It's real easy for me to tell people, send it to my Coinbase wallet when we travel. You know, I don't know where everybody's like kind of coming from. And, you know, with my scavenger team out, shout out to Carrie and the NFT crew in California. We did a thing in San Diego. And shout out to my boy Tommy. We were on team. He was like, "I'm gonna send you something," and he was like, "I'll send it to your Coinbase wallet." And he was like, "I, you know, can send it anywhere you want." And he had a couple other wallets, and he was like, "All right," but you know, because we are experienced and we know how to, you know, kind of navigate, we got a couple of different wallets.
That's right.
So, you know, like friends and family, y'all go one place. People I just met, y'all go another place.
That's right.
You know, because I'm very, you know, mindful of integrity and, you know, exposing what I have. And so I think as we start to see the solutions come around this, I'm going to have to do less managing of that. Like, I'm going to have to do less of the whole hand-holding, and it's going to get easier for me to manage multiple wallets and to keep them segregated and to be able to say, hey, this is exposed here and this is exposed here. Same way I used to use my credit cards. I don't know if you guys used to do this to your credit cards. I had certain credit cards I would use to buy things online, and certain credit cards I never used to buy things online.
My sister used to do that.
Yeah.
I never did that.
Security practice, but
Yeah,
I treat my wallets the same way. Certain digital assets are for this pocket, some for this pocket. And
I do that. I
Yeah.
definitely do that.
yeah, but I don't need you if I don't touch my pocket where I put my Bitcoins. I don't need you worrying about it, you know, a couple years from now when I turn my wallet on because I want to go, you know,
Transact.
get that new Porsche.
That's right. That's right.
No, exactly.
Good take, Ozzy.
Exactly. You gotta do that, but on your side, you just gotta, you know, you gotta know that that's gonna happen regardless. So you gotta do what you do today with your money, which is manage it your own way. But to talk to this specifically, with the cracking situation, at first I was like, because I felt like, okay, they're just following the competitive line of Coinbase. There's nothing wrong with that, right? This is their answer to mobile Coinbase wallet. But I think it's different when I started recognizing that they're actually going head to head with Venmo and Cash App from that regard. So I think that's a good approach for them, different approach that they're coming from, and they'll still be able to on-ramp people to the space, exposure, just like the way Cash App is doing it directly through Bitcoin, and Kraken has access to other assets other than Bitcoin, so it opens them up more for opportunity there in that channel. So yeah, again, I think a lot of companies got into this space early, right? And they were cruising with the true disruption of companies that, you know, your Coinbases, your Robinhoods, your Krakens, they're all here to play ball, and they're all looking at one another like opportunities, right? So we gotta look at, we gotta do the same thing, and be able to identify where we need to be able to entrust our capital.
Good points. Good points. I appreciate those thoughts from my guest and my co-host. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all like this. There's a couple of stories. I only did 5 today. I normally do 6, but I knew we had a long week, so it was gonna be a lot of stuff we was gonna discuss. So, I might skip over one for continuity purposes, but I'm just gonna mention it, so we don't really have to do a deep dive on it. But I just thought that this was interesting that just happened with Fed Chair Powell and Trump. So, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said that this week that the crypto industry is becoming more mainstream and he expects banks to engage more with the sector. Speaking before Congress, Powell explained that the Fed's recent withdrawal of several crypto-related advisories, alongside its decision to remove reputational risks from bank supervision, reflects both the industry's maturity and improved regulatory understanding. So Powell cited past crypto fraud as a reason for his early caution. Okay, so earlier he was super cautious about the space, but I think Trump, basically put him on the chopping block. Was like, yo, bro, I got people that's about to come take your job. I don't like the job you're doing. He calls him too slow power or something like that because he hasn't cut interest rates. Man, I just thought to see the pressure that Trump put on Jerome Powell and the Fed, they're their own separate entity. They actually print the money. But to see Trump put the pressure on Powell, I thought that was pretty funny, man, for him to sing a new tune, man. So do y'all have any thoughts or comments on that? Because I saw his face.
This the one I was salivating on.
All right, so we gonna get into it.
So this is politics at the grandest stage. You have the president engaging with the Fed chair in a long dance that's been going on for a few months now. And I love listening to Professor Scott Galloway. Shout out to Professor G. The Pivot podcast, they talk about this very specifically, about this dance that Trump has been in with both the tariff game and the taco trade.
Damn, said the taco.
I'm sorry. But
you want to tell people what the acronym stands for?
Nah, man, I let somebody. Y'all look at your homework. Go do your homework. Go do your research. I'm not gonna do. I did mine. So the taco trade, and I think as that's been going on, Chairman Powell has been increasingly feeling pressure to drop interest rates. And I think if you follow the breadcrumbs that Professor Galloway has been laying down, he thinks the timing of that is intentional for grift. He thinks that trying to force Chairman Powell to reduce interest rates creates a buying opportunity and another transfer of wealth and another grifting opportunity. And he speaks to it pretty explicitly on the Pivot podcast with Kara Swisher. Tune into it, listen to it. Shout out to Professor G because he's given knowledge on how this actually works. To see this development happen, because I've been watching, Professor Galloway talk about this, it's just, you see the game unfolding. It's not fooling folks who are following what the real moves are about and what the real push is about. And I think you do have to kind of go gather the different information sources. You have to go watch a couple of podcasts, read a couple of editorials, and kind of follow the different sort of clues about what the conflict is really about, what the pressure on the Fed chairman is really about, and why you haven't seen an executive branch in conflict with the Fed chairman like this in the past, like why it's historic. Because there's a purpose to it. There's a reason.
Wow.
And it's like, all right, so what's the reason that this is happening, this historic conflict? And what exactly is Chairman Powell, who's been doing this job for how long?
Shit.
This is his second term.
3?
Right?
Second term? Second term. So he's been doing this job. So, there's a level of confidence there. But what about how he's been doing the job has become such a problem? So he's on the whipping block. So I think, watching the conflict play out is a bit of a circus. It's interesting. But I hope that people follow what's going to actually happen. And what people are saying is actually going to, happen and unfold. Because if you follow Professor Galloway, this has all been laid out already. The fight with the Fed chairman, the impact of the stock market, the decrease in interest rates, what it will lead to as a buying opportunity for those people who time the buying opportunity accordingly. And at this point in time, those are insiders.
Gotcha. We appreciate that information, man. That was, that was spot on, man. I love your perspective. Tia.
No, I'm gonna try to keep it really quick. I don't have that type of knowledge base. However, I just watch things, and I watch cyclically how things play out. And I'm watching how Europe has started their monetary easing, and even during the COVID cycle, we watched it played out in Asia, Europe, us, and even right now, I'm literally, it's like when you sit there and you watch things, I may not be able to articulate it as well as RC, but we keep seeing the same thing over and over, and we know that we're at the beginning of that monetary cycle. And soon as the United States starts to cut rates, that's when that monetary rush comes in. And so for me, when I see articles like this, it just shows me that the writing is on the wall and everything is going as planned to script. That's it.
So essentially, it sounds like they're saying this is theatrics, what they doing on the camera for us in public. So
They just approved the big beautiful bill.
oh, the big beautiful bill.
This
Oh,
right now?
That was the thing that Elon and Trump fell out about, huh? Too.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, it's okay. I'm not gonna say how much. I'm just gonna say they just approved the big beautiful bill.
Okay.
So even that's gonna play into money coming into the market.
That's right. That's right.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
So-
Oh, yeah, the big
We
beautiful
will-
bill. And what
we
was the
will
vote? What was the vote
monitor
on
the
that? What was the
situation.
vote on that? I thought it was 51 to 49.
So we getting real-time data right now on the big beautiful bill. We got NFTia doing some research right now on the vote. See how that went.
Yeah, 51 to 49.
51
wow.
to 49, so that was extremely close.
Wow.
Extremely close, but that big, beautiful bill has been passed. Thank you for that breaking news, Just Cheeze. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So we will monitor the situation and see how the markets will react tomorrow when they open up. All right. So,
Hold on to your knickers.
yeah.
Balls to the wall.
So let's talk about some more
Windows to the wall.
crypto regulation. Let's talk about the SEC and Ripple. All right, so this shit been going on for like 5 years. So Ripple and the SEC has officially ended its long-running battle. All right, by dropping its cross appeal, with the SEC also expected to withdraw its own. This move closes one of the most impactful crypto court cases in years. The original lawsuit, filed in 2020, accused Ripple of selling XRP as unregistered securities. A 2023 ruling found XRP itself is not a security and that secondary market sales are legal, but direct institutional sales were deemed securities violations. By ending its appeal, Ripple avoids further legal costs and uncertainty while accepting a likely civil penalty for past institutional sales, right? So I think that's what the back and forth was. The decision preserves XRP's legal clarity in the US and allows Ripple to refocus on global expansion and XRP ledger adoption. Now, I talked about this Thursday at ABC. They have expanded to now be interoperable with over 35 different blockchains on the XRP ledger. So they're kicking ass and taking names. They stood up against the SEC, spent over 150 million. That's what Brad Garlinghouse said on fighting this case, and it's been going on for 5 years. So, and they are now officially, how can we classify them as not a security now? They're the ones that are classified as not a security now, right? All right, cool. So I gotta ask my co-host and my guest, what's your thoughts on this case finally ending? And man, do you think any more cases will get dropped? Because we've been seeing cases against like Robinhood and Coinbase also starting to be dropped by the SEC. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I've talked too much XRP.
No. This is good. I actually this saga, as this has been the SEC versus Ripple, has ended. I think in a way that Ripple could not have anticipated when the litigation first began, and the SEC Fed chairman put a big bullseye on their back. And as they've continued to go through this process with the SEC and seek regulatory clarity and basically try to establish new law where Congress has not stepped in and filled the void and established what law actually is, Ripple has defended the crypto community in both finance by paying that $150 million legal bounty to hire some of the best lawyers in the game to fight back on the SEC and to seek clarity. And then as they were kind of in the fight, they went public with what is happening. They began to kind of talk about, we're fighting back, and we're not going to just simply assume the status quo as it's being put to us. We will not be silenced, we will not be choked. And so now they've responded with this, light on the other end of the tunnel. Now, they're growing, they're going breakneck. They were continuing to build through this dark period, and now they've prepared for this moment. I think it's a testament to leadership, the executive team wavering. It's hard to, have morale when the SEC is looking down your back, when you're being, investigated. It's hard to rally your team when you got a target on your back, and it's ambiguous as to how to get it off. So I'm extremely proud. I'm not gonna lie. I talk to my guys in my fantasy football team all the time. They always ask me questions about what do you own and what you own. I'm not a big digital asset guy in terms of owning coins, but I own XRP. And one day we were just playing around. I'm like, I'm gonna put $500 on XRP, and you put it on whatever you want, and we're just gonna see here for all us to see. And that $100 XRP, that's my entry fee to the little fantasy league for the next 5 years. I'm just gonna transfer some little XRP because I went from a bet telling them hey man, this is what's gonna happen. And this played out. I'm enjoying this moment. I'm enjoying this crypto renaissance.
That's right. Thanks. Appreciate that take, sir. Cheese.
No, facts. I think when I saw this news earlier this week, I just felt like it was just like both parties came to the table and was like, man, what are we still talking about?
What we talking about? That was my point right there.
Do you see, look left, look right? Do we need to be? Why are we thinking? Let's just go. Y'all made some money, we made some money. Let's Trump. Are y'all paying attention? That's all I thought about. This was why are we? It's game set match, man.
That's right.
That's all I thought about.
Man, just know that even the judge said, hey, Annalisa Torres, she was ready for that fucking case to be over with. She was like, man, listen.
Man.
She was fed up with the shit, how long this shit been dragging out. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it kind of makes the SEC look bad if it takes you 5 years, to figure out if this one company, XRP and Ripple, is this a security or a commodity? It took you 5 years to try to come to that conclusion. That's crazy.
I mean, watch
no, I feel like every week they have new news about the SEC and Ripple in their case, and the message is the same. We know that there has been, because of this, there has been some suppression to the price, and rightfully so. Investors, especially high-level investors, they want to know what's going to happen with XRP before they start to move the needle, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And we all knew that it was a ghost fight, so to speak. And I always had faith that XRP would come out somewhat victorious. But after a while, it feels like a 20 inning baseball match or a 100-round fight. At this point, let's just shake and just come to some type of fair agreement and let's start to move on. 5 years of litigation is a long time. That's a long battle. That's a hard battle. But I do appreciate XRP, sticking in there, keeping their feet in the mud, and doing the dirty work for the space. And and since then, since XRP started to win those battles, a lot of the smaller battles were able to be won or released from the claws of the SEC. I even believe that XRP is the reason why Gensler, it's a big reason why Gensler is no longer the head of the SEC anymore, because he did such a shitty job. So they did so much with this battle, just let them be free now. Just let them be.
They
let 'em be
definitely
free, you know?
they kicked his ass.
What did Tom Emmer say? Tom Emmer was like, "You're an incompetent beat on the job." That shit had me crying.
Hey, man,
Big up to Tom Emmer,
they
man.
kicked his ass.
Somebody
and
gotta mute.
said-
Somebody mute.
Oh, who that? All right, John, you might have to mute your mic, brother.
No.
Oh, you got a question?
To this perspective, there's still a permanent injunction, and I mean, yeah, we're a decade into this, but this ruling stands. They cannot sell the XRP tokens. They have practically all of them, and there's nothing that's changed here. I don't understand how we see this as. I'm not getting where we're coming from here. We had extensive discussion over the Fed actions, and every single thing they did pointed to just a complete shutdown. And like, how is this? I'm not understanding how we're getting to this conclusion, because they freely admitted that everything they've done is violated securities laws when it's not permitted through the intermediaries.
Okay, so that's a hot take. So you don't agree that everything that
Agree to
Ripple was
disagree.
going on. So we can actually agree to disagree on that. But that was a great perspective. You know.
I want to elaborate more though.
Hold
I
on.
want to hear
You
more.
have a rebuttal.
No, I
think Cheese wants to ask him a question.
I want to say.
I think he wants to elaborate on his point. Here you go, Cheese.
Hey John, can you elaborate more on your perspective on the violation of securities and how and how do you think like where they're at right now?
Yeah, I'm happy to elaborate on that. Just, other people maybe aren't as familiar as you are, and I've been working on this for 4 years at least on the tokenized securities front, so it's very near and dear. And the Ripple case is something that comes into play with work that I do with the SEC. The last correspondence I had with the SEC was 2 weeks ago. This court case and the claims against Ripple are that a central entity had sold these tokens to institute. I mean, they sold it in a manner that requisites registration under the securities law.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't think they get us a left because they're doing something wrong with Ripple. They are fully prosecuting Ripple to the extent of the existing securities laws. And that's all I work in every single day doing tokenized securities for this company is making sure they comply with the securities law. Securities laws are the same today as they were when Gensel left office. Yeah, the lead because the president's candidacy, the party changed.
Correct.
But this ruling that came out this week is, which is insane. And this is the same day that we had that news about e-shares, which I've been following so closely for years, and I don't think it will change a goddamn thing to see any of these big people come in as broker dealers, because a broker dealer is explicitly not self-custody, but that's a separate point.
Mm-hmm.
The point here is that this ruling has only affirmed what the SEC has been saying for 5 years, which is that they were selling securities. Here it is saying you are selling securities and you're permanently banned from continuing to sell securities.
No, I don't think. I don't think that part is where I agree with that. Win is where the win is for Ripple. I think that part was confirmed even when they did end up having to pay the fine.
Correct. Yeah.
Earlier last.
Tell you exactly how much they took them in legal fees. It's over $100 million. This is not like, how is this a win?
No.
There's no win here for Ripple.
On the court case side, there has been a large in due of pain, I guess, that they had to go through. But as a company, being able to operate Operation Choke Point that also took place, and being on the side of that, I think there's a lot of exposure on both sides, which is why my reaction was just like, why are we still fighting? Like, the rest of the world is moving in this direction.
I'm moving on.
Both sides have taken hits, right? So let's just call it what it is, wrap it up. There's definitely going to be, I feel like there's on the Ripple side, they've taken some hits. You've highlighted that. But there's other spaces that they are going to innovate in from an industry perspective. So I think from that perspective, that's where they'll probably find their win. And I think this space will actually end up becoming. I think we're gonna end up having an effect where we kind of just have an oxymoron effect, where the fact with the tokenization of stocks opening up for the basically answering the giving people giving Ripple or these companies the opportunity to do what they wanted to do in the first place, which was sell these things to institutions. So once that comes into play, the technology will be there for them to do what they wanted to do in the first place. So I think in time they may have had to pay it a lot up front, but the technology is playing out in a way where they'll be able to take advantage of it.
Good point, Cheeze.
So I have to ask you, because I find myself this quite extensively. What do you think about the earlier acquisition of that prime broker?
You talking about the Dinero or the Nari one that we just talked about?
No, I'm talking about Ripple.
Oh yeah, they did a couple of weeks ago by exchange. Yeah, I have to get some. I haven't dug deep into that acquisition.
Well, usually when you buy a broker dealer, you still are treated as like a new applicant for the broker dealer license. So I don't know how that will run up the application tree, or how they get looked at, or what that looks like now. But that broker dealer application process, like when you acquire a company that has a broker dealer license, that legal entity above it is going to have to go through that approval process. So I don't know how much they'll have to show through that, but that'll be interesting too, I guess.
That company was called Hidden Road.
Hidden Road. Yeah.
And I guess further to the point, just so that I am clear too, Ripple has definitely, as I said, and I was saying this about the amount of money they spent and how they've kind of taken it on the chin for everyone else. The Ripple has definitely suffered loss in this process, and the back and forth, the carnage of it. You don't want to be in a situation like that with the SEC. That's how companies die. That's how you lose morale. And I thought I was trying to highlight that earlier, that for them to survive on the other side of this and to keep their team intact, for leadership to continue to be able to navigate through that sort of dark corridor, I think is a victory for them, that they have a company on the other side of this that is thriving, growing, and continuing to build. And that there is clarity for others now, because Ripple did spend $150 million and did take that fight and did stand in the face of the SEC and the action. And it is what it is now, but everyone's going to live to fight another day. But they're wounded a little bit from the fight. The chairman, the credibility of the institution, the people who are involved in this process, they've all taken a little bit of blood on their lapels.
And another thing I want to say, think about the people who've been investing in Ripple. Think about how long they had to wait to just see, some kind of profit. Because think about it. Right now, if you got into it a couple of years ago, what was that, 50 cents? So you would have had to wait almost like a whole cycle, a whole 4 years for you to really, really see it run up. Because I've been holding Ripple for forever. That summer, a couple of years ago, when they said the institutional sales was the violation of securities laws, but the sales to retail wasn't.
Retail was okay, yep.
That's when we saw some price action. But prior to that, you had to sit around and watch all these other tokens go crazy, whether it was Dogecoin, whatever. You've seen all of these tokens have action. New coins having all-time highs. And for RC's point, there's a lot of people who they got wounded in this battle, including the investors.
Yeah.
So
Ripple shareholders, and that's what the SEC is supposed to be protected, right?
And now Ripple, they're talking about going, public. They're talking about an IPO. So we will monitor the situation, but John, we appreciate your perspective, man, because you always come with a different perspective, and we thank you for tapping in, sir. So for our last story, let's talk about Sui. You know what I'm saying? Now, Tia's face didn't even. Tia's face. I was waiting for Tia's face to. She didn't show no emotion. Like, oh my God. So I thought this was a pretty dope story.
No, it is.
And for me, being a big fan of this movie franchise called Back to the Future, I love DeLoreans. I love the DeLorean. I have one on VV. You know what I'm saying? That was like my first AR vehicle that I was able to drive. You know what I'm saying? So it was super dope. I gotta give a big shout out to the team at DeLorean Motor Company. All right. So what they have done recently, they have launched an on-chain reservation system in NFT marketplace for its up-and-coming Alpha 5 electric vehicle, marking its first new car in over 40 years. Now, have you guys seen this vehicle?
It's fire.
T.Gold, we gonna go right in this?
Yo,
Oh,
we
we gonna
getting
go
this.
right
We
in
got
it?
twin.
Yeah.
Yo, you get a black one, I get a gray one, or
Let's
whatever.
do it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, listen, that car is probably one of the flyest cars I've seen in forever. So, buyers can secure priority access through build slot NFTs tradable with USDC on the Sui blockchain. Each vehicle's maintenance, battery health, and ownership data will be tracked on chain via the Flux protocol, enhancing transparency and resale value. The company also launched their DMC token on Sui, making it the first automaker to do so. And it's crazy because BMW, they're partnered with